All right, welcome everyone. We're going to call to order the meeting for the Caledonia Community Schools Board of Education. If you could rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sorry, for the record, this is the August 12th meeting. So, and I apologize for us being a few minutes behind. We were able to get a quick tour of the construction projects going on, so that was great. We thank Matt Hess, who hasn't been able to get back here yet. So we are going to move to, we need to do our roll call. Thank you.
River Garcia. Here. Randall.
Here.
Isich here. Morris.
Here.
Nichols. Here. Sadoo.
Here.
White.
Here, thank you. We're going to move into public comment. We do ask that if you're here for public comment that you do fill out one of these cards with all your information, including contacts, so that if we need to follow up with you in regards to some information, we do have that. Also, there's information on the back that you are allowed to address the board for 3 minutes. We do ask that you address the board as a whole, and we ask that this not be a time for individual student issues or personnel issues. If there's something that we can help you with or give you further direction on, we will be happy to do that. All right, at this point in time, we will start with public comment. We first have Katie, then Nick, and then Bob and Chris.
Hi, my name is Katie Aubil, and I have the privilege of being here tonight on behalf of the Teachers Union, the Caledonia Education Association, also known as the CEA. I'm here as our newest Communications and PR Chair and will serve for the duration of the 24-25 school year. On behalf of the CEA, we look forward to building relationships and communication with our Board of Education, and we encourage you to reach out to us at any time for conversation and connecting. As many of you know, educators across the district are excited to be welcoming back students next Monday. Most teachers have been working diligently to prepare their classrooms and themselves for what is going to be a phenomenal year in Caledonia. Our entire teaching staff will be reporting back tomorrow for 3 full days of learning, planning, and building community and relationships across the district as well as within our own individual buildings. Many of us, however, have been hard at work all summer. Whether it was teaching summer school, providing special education services, unpacking the essential elements, training for literacy programs, helping each other move classrooms, and even more move buildings. We had staff taking classes the entire summer to further their development, and many staff volunteering their time to work with administration to help interview and onboard many new staff. We have teachers helping others learn new content, a new subject, a new grade level, or even a new building's procedures. As I was in a few buildings today, I actually saw a lot of our CEA members showing around new staff, giving them tours of the building, donating materials and student supplies out of their own classroom for new teachers, and offering to help lend a hand to new staff members. There is an energy of excitement and anticipation around us as we work diligently to prepare for our kiddos arriving in just a few short days. We are excited to see the positive direction our district and schools can take when we work together to provide the best quality of education for all of our Caledonia students. Thank you.
Thank you, and welcome back to all our teachers too. All right, we're going to have Nick, followed by Bob and Chris, and then Sean.
Hi, today I was driving around running on some errands and listened to a report on NPR, and it was based out of Michigan. And there was a professor on there who talked about the development of AI and how the University of Michigan has no policy or procedure on AI. And so she dug in and developed a 5-part program that sounded pretty impressive, and I can't repeat any of it because I don't remember it all. But I was very, very proud of the fact that some 6 months ago, you guys were already working on it and made some real progress. And part of it that made me so impressed was the fact that your focus was how to provide the teachers with a tool to help them deal with this very difficult process. And so thank you very much for what you've been doing.
Thank you. Bob? Followed by Sean.
Good evening. Let me just say, I don't envy the board being forced to deal tonight with the Biden administration's Title IX rule. I can't possibly cover how legally and morally bad it is in 3 minutes, so I'll try to let the court speak for the legalities of it. 7 separate judges across the U.S. have ordered injunctions restraining the Department of Ed from enforcing the Title IX final rule, covering 26 states and various individual schools, colleges, and parent-student organizations in all 50 states. In just one case, Oklahoma versus Department of Ed, the court agreed the final rule exceeded the authority and scope of the original policy, changed the definition of sex without legislative approval, violated the First Amendment of the Constitution, and is arbitrary and capricious. The other 6 judges found similarly. Here are some quotes from the judgment. The department exceeded its statutory authority by changing the definition of sex to include gender identity. Whether conduct or speech is considered harassment under the final rule is dependent on broad statements and vague terminology. The final rule doesn't define what objectively offensive means, but it's reasonable to assume that refusal to affirm someone's gender identity would fall into this category. The final rule is likely to violate students' and teachers' First Amendment rights, and the state will suffer irreparable harm in the injunction if the injunction is denied. And it goes on to say a preliminary injunction is in the best interest of the public. If you vote for this policy, you will knowingly be accepting a policy that violates your teachers' and students' First Amendment rights. As for the moral component, demanding students and teachers to go along with unscientific and contradictory gender theory and change their language to meet state-compelled speech and belief is morally repugnant. More critically, allowing adults and minor males in private same-sex spaces of females was something until recently we all agreed was acceptable. As a man, I could say that tempting young juvenile males with the opportunity to exploit this new policy out of curiosity and peer pressure is irresponsible and potentially harmful to otherwise good students. It's also an open door for sexual predators of any age to take advantage of young women. Title IX offers few restrictions against this. And my wife's concerns revolve around the fact that we spent decades teaching girls to not ignore their intuition when something feels unsafe. Girls are no longer told to listen to that little voice and have to give deference to males and their hurt feelings as it relates to this. This is regressive policy that will lead to easy sexual predation of girls by men. It appears the Title IX final rule also allows a trans-identified boy to claim a Title IX violation if not allowed in a locker room with girls, while a girl forced to share her locker room with that same boy could also file a Title IX case. Lawsuits are going to occur on both sides. Caledonia currently has 4 schools protected from enforcement under the Moms for Liberty Court injunction, with several more, if not all, being added soon. The wisest action would be to put this policy on hold until the lawsuits are settled. Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have Sean.
Good evening. I'm going to try to talk real fast because I know 3 minutes goes by pretty quickly too. And I'm more here as a messenger. I'm reading an email that was sent to me by John Bursch, legal counsel, Caledonia, father of 5 graduates, and he's currently on his way back from Texas, where he just moved his youngest into college. So I'll do the best I can. It's shocking, bordering on scandalous, that anyone in recommending that the Caledonia Public Schools adopt the policies embodied in the Biden administration's Title IX regulations. After all, 6 federal district courts out of 7 and 2 federal appeals courts out of 2 have preliminarily declared the regulations illegal in their entirety and ordered the federal government not to enforce the regulations against school districts. One of those federal appeals courts, the Sixth Circuit, is the appellate court that has jurisdiction over Michigan federal courts. And one of the federal district court decisions in Kansas has issued an injunction prohibiting the administration from enforcing the Title IX regulations, specifically against Caledonia High School, Duncan Lake Middle School, Kettle Lake, and Craft Meadows. All these injunctions should surprise no one. Since its enactment in 1972, Title IX has been understood by everyone: Congress, the President, federal courts, schools that accept funding, public, etc., to prohibit discrimination that bars access to educational opportunities when that discrimination is based on biological sex. Yet the Biden administration took this promise of equal educational opportunities for both sexes and transformed it into a 423-page mandate that, among other things, requires schools to allow boys in girls' bathrooms, locker rooms, and hotel rooms and requires teachers and students to use a person's preferred pronouns and so-called neopronouns. The administration did so by redefining discrimination on account of sex to include discrimination on account of things that other than biological sex, such as sex stereotypes and gender identity. The new regulations also adopt a new de minimis harm standard that appears nowhere in the statute and has absurd consequences. For example, under the regulations, it appears that schools must comply with a student's request to change pronouns even if the student's parents object. The regulations also warn schools against disclosing a student's gender identity because it could lead to harassment, which, when combined with other provisions, means schools will need to, 1, assign a boy who claims to be a girl to a girls-only room on an overnight field trip or sports trip, and 2, not inform the girls or parents that those girls will be sharing a room with a biological male. Regulations acknowledge that they will increase schools' compliance costs, including revising policies and training employees. And yet, if the Supreme Court upholds the many lower court rulings that have enjoined the regulations, these substantial costs will never have to be incurred. The far better response is to just wait and see and let the federal courts have the final say. As the administration's legal losses have mounted and it has sought emergency relief at the U.S. Supreme Court, it has been thrown overboard some of the provisions the administration finds least defensible, like locker rooms and pronouns, and tried to save the others. But the administration forfeited its severability argument in the lower courts and has been unable to explain how the regulation's remaining provisions could possibly work without the controversial ones. There's only 2 more paragraphs.
Please, no, finish, go ahead.
Okay. So I can slow down a little bit.
Take a deep breath.
I do have copies too. I printed copies.
I was concerned about that, so
Yeah.
take a deep breath.
I do have copies too, that if you want to reread this, I can hand out when I'm done.
Thank you.
This makes it extremely unlikely that the Supreme Court will save the regulations in the short term. I have firsthand knowledge of this since I represent schools and families that have successfully challenged the regulations in the Federal Court of Appeals for the 5th and 6th Circuit and recently filed briefs opposing the administration's request in the U.S. Supreme Court. The legal arguments in these cases are complex and not easily reducible to an email. But if school board members are even considering adopting the administration's new Title IX regulations, I encourage them to defer that decision for another meeting or 2, and I would be happy to give them a public or private briefing about the issues. Suffice it to say, if the board were to adopt the regulations, there would likely be Caledonia community school families who would immediately sue and win based on the many federal court rulings that have enjoined the regulations, including the 6th Circuit. That court's decision would be binding on a federal judge here in West Michigan. Please let John know if there's any additional information that would be helpful to stop the adoption of these patently illegal federal regulations. It would be a waste of significant time and money and likely lead to lawsuits the schools will have no chance of winning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job, John.
Kelly? You okay? Okay, thank you. All right, thank you. At this point in time, we will move to 5, which is our consent agenda. We have the August 1st, 2024 special meeting minutes. We have the July 2024 payables and the August 2024 personnel report.
I move that the Board of Education approve the consent agenda as presented.
May I have a second?
Second.
Do I have any questions, corrections? Could I please have roll call?
Gerber Garcia, Yes. Randall,
Yes.
Isich, yes. Morris,
Yes.
Nichols. Yes. Sadoo,
Yes.
White.
Yes, motion carries, thank you. We're gonna move to 6, which is superintendent report. We're gonna start the SME Prime Grant. Did you wanna do the introductions?
I'll let you just introduce yourself and take it away.
Mr. Skolton, welcome.
Good evening, thanks for having me tonight. I believe I've met many of you, but for those of you that haven't met me or those in the audience, I am a high school teacher in our tech ed department. Last spring, we were awarded an SME Prime grant at the high school, which will affect our whole department. I want to take a quick minute to thank Kamala Diaz for getting the ball rolling at the district level there, and Jim Kreitz and Katie Dorban for helping out with the filling out of the grant on that end. SME, as you may know, is the Society of Manufacturing Engineers. They have the SME Education Fund, which has started the PRIME program, which stands for Partnership, Response, and Manufacturing Education. As many of you are probably aware, the trades are declining as many people retire, and there's not enough younger people interested or getting exposure to those areas. So one of the things that Prime seeks to do is to expose kids to that opportunity, but they also allow for the giving of certifications as well as scholarships and other supports for students that may pursue things in those areas. The core areas that Prime supports is gonna be CAD/CAM, which we already have a robust program in, but they'll support that. And then also precision measurement, which gets into quality control and other high-end measuring of, say, manufactured parts or assemblies. And then also additive manufacturing, which is kind of the cutting edge of manufacturing these days. So those are three core competencies that are gonna be supported at Caledonia High School. We have a PMI kit, precision measuring kit, that was delivered end of last school year, which is Starrett tools, and this summer I had training on using those so that I can certify students through NC3. NC3 is the National Coalition of Certification Centers. So students can earn digital badges for, say, tape measures, micrometers, calipers, and other tools that then they can add on to their LinkedIn or resume that shows employers that they have reached a certain competency within those areas. At Caledonia, our elective option that Prime is supporting us in is fabrication and machining. We are currently working, that's gonna be a second year rollout, picking what tools are gonna best fit our program here at Caledonia. And we're gonna try and get those ordered this fall to avoid any 2025 price increases so we can get the most bang for our dollar out of that grant. We're gonna be partnering with some specific businesses, brands that they work with in order to order those things relatively soon. We had a meeting about that today. There's lots I could talk about. I want to leave some time for questions because I know there's lots of acronyms and maybe various things that I'm not going to touch on, but the main thing that we're looking at here is exposing kids to the trades and other opportunities, and also getting certifications within our high school here that those students can take directly into the workplace. So if any of you have any questions, I'd be happy to address those as best I can at this time.
Brittany?
Yeah, I'm just curious, as you were able to like advertise this to students, did you see like improvement in kids signing up for these courses or interested in specific areas? I'm just curious what the response has been like so far.
Yep, so at this time, we are not adding any new courses with how late in the school year that this grant was given to us. We weren't able to go public with some stuff, but then also have that happen before kids signed up for classes last spring. Just talking with my classes about the Prime program. We've seen a lot of interest in things related to metalworking because we haven't had a class related to that in a while. And the stuff that we're already adding, the precision measurement and the 3D printing, will enhance the current classes we offer. Depending on the interest there, we may break those off into specific classes. For example, they have curriculum resources that would allow for precision measurement to be a year-long class. We just weren't sure that there was gonna be, say, high school students that would sign up for 2 full semesters of precision measuring right off the bat. But if we get some interest in it, we can develop those things down the road. The machining and metalworking stuff has been the largest interest that I've seen in students that I've talked to so far, and that'll be a rollout shooting for next fall with the equipment arriving over the course of this school year.
Ken?
Yeah, I wanna thank you for stepping up to do this. This is a great first step for the district. I think we should continue to look into what we can do for the trades in areas like automotive, electricians, plumbers, and welders. With the demand that's out there, not all kids are meant to go to college and get those math-related degrees or science-related degrees, but are more hands-on. And I think this district should do more to advance those for the future careers of our students.
Jason?
Alright, so yeah, again, thank you to echo the previous comments. Might be a question more for Sarah and or Turk too, but can you remind me the grant that we have, is that covering all of the costs of the equipment and everything, or are we subsidizing some of that out of general fund or other areas?
So I'll answer it as
Okay.
best I can, and if they need to fill in. My understanding is all of the equipment, as well as my travel and training this summer, is completely funded by the SME grant. SME also provides the opportunity to apply for sustainability funds down the road over the next few years to cover some of those consumable materials. Now that will wane, I don't remember what year number that is, but obviously they want us to be self-sustainable at a certain point. But the initial program here is fully funded through the SME grant.
Anything either one of you wanted to add to that? I think you did a great job with that. Anybody else? Thank you very much. It's nice to see your excitement in this, and we're glad that you're invested in this long term. I do think it's a great thing for Caledonia, so thank you.
If anyone would like to reach out with more questions in the future, feel free to do so.
Thank you. All right, we are going to move on to 6B, which is Title IX update.
Well, before I do, I'd just also like to thank you, Kyle, before you escape. Appreciate it. Mr. Skolton took time out of his summer this year to get this program going and get the training, and just really indicative of his commitment to this, and we're really excited about it too. As some of you have been saying, I mean, these opportunities are important for all kids to meet the needs of every one of our students, and we want to provide as broad a range of experiences as possible. So just really appreciate you stepping up, Kyle. So now we'll let you go and enjoy the rest of your evening, so thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Title IX update, the board, we've had a lot of discussion about this. I just want to try and continue to update you as we go. And there have not been a whole lot of new developments in the last couple of days. Continue to try and provide you with information as Marcy and I were putting together the agenda. We also continue to feel like we were not in a position where we felt that this was ready to come to the board with all the things going on. And we want to continue to wait and see how things go. So that is the posture we're going to continue to take. The regulations did, of course, go into effect on August the 1st. So the way things currently stand for our district is that we have 4 schools that are under the injunction, and we have 5 schools that are not. And so we continue to just wait and see what goes on with that. So just wanted to put this on the agenda in case anyone on the board had any other questions regarding that. But that's the position we're going to continue to take at this point in time as we watch and wait and see what goes on.
Questions, Tim?
So when will we know when we're ready to take this up? I assume if the Supreme Court sees this and kills it, then it all goes away, but is this?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what the position is gonna be, and we, we're told different things, right? And mainly our legal advice is, this is the law currently because it did go through this regulatory process. But with the injunctions and the court challenges, that obviously down the road could put it into question. So therefore, we are feeling like right now we're just holding, and we have to wait and see what goes, so. Yeah, that's where we sit.
Further questions? All right, we're gonna move on to 6C then, other items.
Yeah, just a couple of other quick things. Ms. Aubel already referred to tomorrow morning, and we are also looking forward very much to having everybody back here in the district bright and early for our district-wide welcome back breakfast, and we'll have a big session, and we'll be at Duncan Lake Middle School this year. And we have a wonderful keynote, we think, coming in. So we're very excited for tomorrow. Today we had a great day as well, as we had our new staff in, and Mr. Kingsbury and a whole host of our staff helped them to begin getting oriented to the district. We had bus drivers in today. I mean, things are really picking up, and so it's very, very exciting to see. I really get energized at this time of year, so we're looking forward also to next Monday when we're able to welcome students back. And just one other note, we have been continuing to be in communication with the County Road Commission regarding the 100th Street project and where that goes. And so it is obviously not going to be done for the start of the school year, and it will probably be a few weeks yet before it is done. So that's going to pose some interesting challenges on our already very busy Craft Avenue. So just what it appears may happen is that the sign right now that's sitting at Johnson Street that says road closed beyond this point, they're maybe going to slide that just a little to the side and say open to Duncan Lake Middle School, so that our our sort of normal parental traffic flow can continue there and keep that as typical as possible right there. So we're trying to work on things, and they'll be monitoring, we'll be monitoring as we start out the school year. And it's gonna be a react and see what we can do kind of situation, but we all know it's not a great traffic time at the best of times, and this is certainly gonna add to it. So just ask for patience from everyone, and the road commission's been really great to work with. We'll just hope that that wraps up and that weather stays good so they can get it done as quickly as possible. And I think that's it for me.
All right, any questions on any of that? All right, we are going to move to 7, which is our new business discussion. 7A is Student and Athletic Handbook. Dr. Diaz?
Good evening, everybody. Kyle, you're really tall. Do we have the handbook that we can pull up so that we can display a little bit of what that looks like? Just as a reminder, I brought to you previously that we've been working on both the student district handbook as well as the athletic handbook. Let me tell you that redoing handbooks is a labor of love. We have had way too much bonding time in many different capacities over these 2 handbooks. But I am excited about what we've come up with. We've taken the athletic handbook and created a single document that is 6 through 12. So there's much more cohesion around that. And then we have built out the new district handbook that allows really everyone to have access to all of the same information in one location rather than it being separated into multiple handbooks based on schools. So each school does still have specific information to their, for example, drop off and pickup or other types, lunch times and things of that nature. But really being able to share the information in total or in whole from a district perspective, reflecting our policies and procedures and things that are required under the law, as well as just some things that are standard practice. So getting it here prepared so you can see it. One of the things that we've done, I know Tim, you had mentioned previously a concern about kind of having it all in one place and the ease of access for families. And so one of the things that we've done is hyperlinked each of the sections. So as parents go into the handbook, they can look at the table of contents and based on the information that they're looking for, they can simply click on the link and it will take them directly to the page that has that information. So really everything they need is on that front page to help them navigate through. And again, it really pulls all of those pieces together that are district K-12, pre-K-12 information so that it's located all in one place for families. So we were pretty excited about how it came out at the end of the day. So thank you for pulling that up. The other document that we have is the handbook for athletics. It is not anywhere near as fancy as the district handbook, but again, it now encompasses grades 6-12, and it really organizes with more clarity the information that our athletes and their families need to have in order to understand and fully compete in our athletic programs. So I believe that was also linked in your documents, so you have an opportunity to look at. What questions might you have?
Excuse me. I noticed that you mentioned that that within the document it references board policy. Is there a way that we can link to that policy so the family can learn more about it and why it might reference the topic?
We could certainly look into that.
And the state laws that I know are listed in there too, might be worthwhile to provide that information that you might get a phone call.
Okay, we can look at that.
Any additional?
We are gonna be putting this out obviously in the next couple of days, so
Sure.
it's a good suggestion, maybe we look at for next year or two. I don't know if we'll be able to pull that off by
It sounds like this is gonna be maintained on a regular
Yeah.
basis, so.
It will be, yes,
Yeah,
and
even-
updated, so each year, when we get policy updates from Neola, we will do updates to the document as well, if anything changes. So for the most part, they're very minor from year to year, but this will allow us to electronically very quickly update based on new policies that come through or that you pass as a board.
And maybe this is a longer look. Certainly, I don't think the intent is thinking that you can get it done in the next few days as, school's starting either, so. Additional questions? All right, looks great, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to move to 7B, which is Emmons Lake Cabinetry. Mr. Hess?
Good evening. I've had to skip a few meetings and I missed you all terribly, so it's really nice to be back in the groove here. Looking forward to getting back into the school district, year, whatever the heck I'm trying to say. Obviously, it's a very tiring time of year for us, trying to get everything up and running again for everybody, so here we are. Emmons Lake Elementary, the 2020 bond. We had a large package of furniture, fixtures, and equipment that went in there. That large package actually tapped the initial funding that was meant for it. So we are bringing a challenge, a problem, a concern that we found with that package to the board tonight, even though it is below the normal board voting threshold. Simply because, and more because, it is extending that FF&E column with funds from other places in the 2020 bond by about $20,000. So what we have is in the storage rooms, the teacher workrooms, they're kind of storage, teacher workrooms / all of the above rooms, one in each pod. We had a shelving solution in place that once we set it up and got it in there, they looked at it and said, this is not gonna work. And we appreciate that. It was a great idea. It was rather inexpensive, but it certainly isn't going to meet their needs. We solicited a variety of quotes for a variety of different products, trying to find one that will work. And the quote we have selected that we're presenting to you in that package tonight is one that met all the needs, was manufactured locally, is of good quality, is wood, not steel, and laminated, so it fits in with their decor and their look a lot better. It also fits in terms of the height. A lot of them were 78 inches tall, some of them were 96. We have about a 90 to 94 inch space, so these 90-inch cabinets just fit in perfectly. So this is a really nice product and we're looking forward to it, and we're just asking for an approval vote tonight.
Any questions? Katie?
So you mentioned that those cabinets were installed before it became clear that they weren't gonna work.
They are shelving, they're actually metal wire shelving. So we installed one room just to see what it would look like. We didn't go beyond that when they discovered this is not gonna work for them.
So when are these ones gonna be installed that we're possibly approving?
We could have these on site within, hopefully, according to the company, looking at probably the end of this month. Either the end of August or mid-September.
Is that gonna impact any of the teachers, cause if those are their workspaces?
Nope, right now they are fully invested in a lot of plastic bins to store the stuff that's gonna go in these closets. And they have been working that way for a while at the end of the school year, so they're prepared and they're obviously looking forward to a better solution than what they had. So this is heading the right direction.
Additional questions? I think we're good. Thank you.
And just to add, we are gonna reuse that wire shelving in other locations around the district moving forward. So we have a lot of other places that we're gonna be able to use it. So
The van
we will not
storage
be
room
using-
is already online for a good portion of it.
Perfect. All right, we're gonna move to 7C, which is Caledonia Transportation Association contract. Mr. Kingsbury.
Thank you, President White. We have, when I say we, I should say Mr. Breeze and myself, we have been working with our Caledonia Transportation Association for the last few months, trying to work out a contract agreement. And we have come to a tentative agreement with them for 1 year that has been shared with you. Some of the highlights of the group, basically, we have over 40 bus drivers. A lot of those positions are part-time. We have 2 mechanics, a dispatcher, a router, and 2 bus aides. So that constitutes our group. So, and we looked at each group, it was a different variety of an increase with that. One of the goals for us was to look at the skill of our drivers. We always benchmark ourselves against neighboring districts. It's very competitive. It's very difficult to find teachers in a lot of content areas. It's very difficult to find bus drivers as well. So we need to be able to remain competitive with our neighbors, competitive with Dean Transportation that does provide services for other districts in the county. And we ask the board and recommend to the board to approve this one-year contract. And we'll be back at it next year as we ensure that we remain competitive with our local school districts. Any questions?
Tim, did you have anything?
I just want to say thanks for going through this process. I know being a bus driver is not the easiest job in the world, and yet the pay isn't what it's probably worth as you take our kids from home to the schools and back. So agreeing on something that we can work forward with is appreciated.
No, thank you. They work tremendously hard and they remind us of the things they do. And sometimes if we're not on a bus, we forget that it's driving back and forth to work twice a day. You know, you're in a steel tube with kids, that you're responsible for their safety. And so there's a lot of factors with that. So I know they'd be very appreciative of hearing the kind comments from you, Mr. Morris. So.
Anyone else? Tell them thank you and welcome back as well for us. All right, we're gonna move to 7D, is 2024-2025 updated budget.
All right, well, we went into some detail on this at previous meetings, so I won't belabor it much more, but the proposal that we went through, let me think now, a week and a half ago, I'll just recap very briefly. That was to increase our instructional staff by adding a instructional intervention parapro at each elementary school. We would also be proposing to increase the parapro schedules in special education categorical classrooms to be 32.5-hour positions, thereby qualifying them for benefits. And when it comes to the high school, we're proposing to convert the Dean of Students position to that of an assistant principal so that that position is able to assist in a whole variety of other things, particularly related to instruction, in addition to the safety things that is dealt with. And on top of that, to add an additional safety monitor at the high school. So that would be an unarmed safety monitor to assist in safety and patrolling the large high school campus. Also in that proposal was to add a district security coordinator position as we try to adjust to new things that we are trying to get done from a security standpoint. And then finally, the current Craft Meadows security position would be increased by 5 hours per week to 32.5 hours, also qualifying that position for benefits. So that's the quick summary of it. Again, just to recap from the big picture, when we brought the initial budget proposal back to you back in June, we had quite a few things that were listed as potential cuts to bring the budget to what the board's target was. None of that was fun for any of us, and so as time has progressed and as we received budget news from the state after that point, we have been able to reinstitute some things. Some things were reinstituted right then in June, and then these are other things that we are recommending would be, they are going to be an increase to the budget, but we think that the cost benefit ratio here is very good, and so that we'll be able to really help our programming both on the safety security side and the instructional side with these moves.
Questions for Mr. Wheeldry? Tim?
There's been some question in the community about the role of the third principal assistant and if the responsibilities of the Dean of Students would be spread amongst that staff.
Yeah, so great question. Obviously, with this being August the 12th, we, even if we have an affirmative vote here tonight, this will not be a position that would be in place right away. So it's our intent to work out a good transition with that. So the way we would start the school year next Monday would be to have a dean of students in place, along with our 2 assistant principals, and then we would, as we bring these other positions online, we would see where we, how we reallocate those things. So that's our plan right now, and of course, these positions will be posted, and anybody who's open to applying for them.
Thank you.
Additional
And
questions?
and as mentioned before, and I think we brought this up last week when we talked, that all of our current staff are under contract, so this would not be anybody losing their job. We would be into different positions.
Jason?
A couple of questions. As far as the duties of the assistant principals, we're also going to add safety, a safety person to the high school to help
Correct.
with what the dean of students potentially was doing, right?
Correct. So what we're trying to do is actually increase our capacity, add an extra individual there too, beyond our current staff. Right now, we kind of have 4 administrators with this and 1 armed security guard. And with this, we would now have 2 security personnel in addition to 4 administrators. So that's our approach.
And then from a timing standpoint, if this gets voted in the affirmative today, what is the kind of time frame that we would have the assistant principal interviews and potentially hired? Are we talking about a second semester kind of transition from just a smooth cutoff? Is it sooner than that? Like,
Yeah, I think we would hope to have it sooner than second semester, but of course, we are gonna do it the right way. And we will post these, we'll conduct interviews properly and make sure we get the right people hired for these positions. And then we'll just keep you informed as we go as to how that process is going and what the timing is looking like.
and then just, do you have kind of a sense of what the typical time frame is for hiring an assistant principal?
Well, anytime you post a position, I think you need to allow a few weeks for that posting to be out there to gather the kind of candidate pool that you want to work from. And then from that, you have typically an interview process that takes a couple of weeks. So at minimum, I would say it'd be 6 weeks. Of course, we will be into the start of the school year at this point too. So if it ends up being somebody from outside, there would be, a transition period for them as they would leave their current district. If it's somebody from inside, we'd be obviously working to fill those positions too. And so we would not move forward on the switchovers until we have kind of the different pieces in place.
That was gonna be my last question was, so if we do post this and we get some internal candidates and it does go internal, now we have another position in the middle of the year that we have to fill, which could then get filled internally, which then could lead to another, like, it could snowball, so how are we prepared to handle that kind of a
Well,
transition?
that's what I was explaining, that's why I think a 6-week would be the fastest I would see anything happening. I do think it will, if it ends up being an internal candidate who gets the position, we just have to sequence it and we have to see where it goes. And we're not gonna leave ourselves with holes in the process, so we're gonna make sure that we do it thoughtfully and progressively.
So the bottom line is there's not like a huge time frame to say we need this by the end of September or a certain date, just do it right and then transition.
Correct, we wanna do it right, not necessarily just to do it quickly, so we're gonna make the right decision.
Additional questions? All right. No? Okay. All right, we are going to move now to 8, which are our action items. 8A is Student and Athletic Handbook.
I move that the board accept the 2024-2025 Student Handbook and Athletic Handbook.
Second.
Any further questions? All right, can I please have roll call?
Berber Garcia,
Yes.
Sadu,
Yes.
Brandau,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Isich, yes, Nichols,
Yes.
White.
Yes, motion carries. B is Emmon Lake Cabinetry.
I move that the board approve the purchase of 25 storage cabinets from the Furniture Group for a total of $25,475.
Second.
Any further questions on this? Can I please have roll call?
Nichols,
Yes.
Berber Garcia,
Yes.
Sadu,
Yes.
Brandau,
Yes.
Isich, yes, Morris,
Yes.
White.
Yes, motion carries. On to 8C, Caledonia Transportation Association contract.
I move that the board approve the contract with Caledonia Transportation Association through June 30th, 2025.
Second. Any additional questions? All right, can I please have roll call?
Brandow,
Yes.
Isich, yes, Morris,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Sadoo,
Yes.
Berber Garcia,
Yes.
White.
Yes. Motion carries. Please tell them thank you again. 8D is 2024-2025 updated budget.
I move that the board approve the updated 2024-2025 budget as presented.
Second.
Additional questions? Can I please have roll call?
Isich, yes, Brandow,
Yes.
Berber Garcia,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Sadoo,
Yes.
White.
Yes, motion carries. All right, at this time, we're gonna move to 9, which are our discussion items. 9A is stadium lighting with bond 2023. Mr. Hess?
Alrighty, a couple cool things in for this evening in first reading. The first is the 2020 and 2023 bonds included facility upgrades to the stadium. We have seen the field come in and it looks fantastic, it's playing well, everybody is thrilled, and now we're moving out from there. One of the pieces of the puzzle as it all comes together is going to be a change out of the full field lighting system. This is not ground lighting, path lighting, this is just the awesome lights that light the field and will be positioned to bleed over to the concrete walkways, all of the different things that are going in. The proposal is to replace this with a full LED system. There are some options to the LED system. It starts as a basic, white lights, and they're on, they're off. There are options to do a lot of very creative and very cool things with timing, flashing to the music. I don't want to say we're going to put a rave out there, but we can really do a lot with our band. We can really do a lot with getting the stadium and the fans excited about the game because we don't have to wait 10 minutes for the lights to warm up or cool off. So it's instant on, instant off. The new technologies are amazing. The step up from that even further, depending on where we decide to go with this, budget's still yet examining here, is adding colors to those lights so that we can do things really cool with purple and gold out on the field. So the options are there. Some of them are in here. Musco is the manufacturer we're chosen to go with. They put in the system that exists now. They put in the poles that exist now, and this is huge. We can fully reutilize the poles that are there, and because they are their poles, they will give us a new 10-year warranty on them. Extend additional warranty time out, which will save us a lot of money and a lot of sleep at night, because those are excellent poles and their equipment fits on them perfectly. There are electrical upgrades that need to be done and a lot of things. So what you're looking at is just the lighting system. This does not include installation. Installation will be part of the greater bid package that we'll be presenting hopefully soon when it comes out to bid for the installation of a lot more out there, including structures and fencing and concrete. So that's a whole package coming to you, and I'm sure there are going to be some questions here.
Jason?
So does all of this take into account any changes that we're planning with the stadium upgrades with, the new bleachers and all of
Yes.
those things? All of that is
Fully in account, everybody is talking to everybody else. The bleacher design coming through Foresight has been in touch with the gentleman from Musco. Musco has all of their plans out to Tower Pigster, to Rockford, and to Foresight, so everybody is communicating well.
Let me just interject on that too. One of the things, very cool, they do, they can do lighting measurements on where everything will be. So they've incorporated like the most recent designs that we're looking at for the plaza. And just as Mr. Hess was saying, get a little bleed over of light onto that area from above. So lighting nowadays is so much more targeted than what it was. And so they can really, really zoom in and control that, where that light plays. So that was part of just what they did in the design phase.
Yeah, kind of a cool thing with the lighting pattern, just to add on here. If you look at the last row of the stands, you're at, I believe, a 4. If you go behind the stands and hit the fence and you're in Scottsmore, you're at a 0.1. So it's a very clean demarcation. Our neighbors will not have lights shining directly into their rooms. They'll have the glow, obviously, it's gonna be bright, but we'll lose some of that old problem of the lights shining directly into people's homes and illuminating more than it should. So the LED lighting is very clean, very nice.
And that was my question.
Yep. It's good.
Good to hear, thank you.
Yes.
Anything additional?
I have
ahead.
follow-up too. Do we have any idea what sorts of electrical upgrades we're looking at in sort of order of magnitude size-wise?
No, mostly because we are still under some investigation of the power subsystems that are existing. There are still some questions. Tower Pinkster and Rockford are working through those as we speak, so they're cutting in there. So there's definitely gonna be some power upgrades no matter what. But the good news is that the power requirements of 4 LED poles full of lights are equivalent to 1.5 of the current system. So the upgrade isn't huge, it's just a matter of connecting it all together and getting the right circuitry involved. So the power demand will be greatly reduced.
And then the last question I have is, what is the warranty and expected longevity of this lighting system?
I don't have it in my head and I can produce that. We'll report back on that.
Thank you. Right, anything additional? All right, we're good. You're gonna continue?
On the next thing up.
I'll let you just go for it.
Okay, next thing up is something a little unusual and to be truthful, pretty darn cool in my book. We are interested in purchasing an autonomous vacuum sweeper. Call it a robot sweeper, a robot vacuum, whatever. We've thought of a dozen names for it, but officially it is an autonomous vacuum sweeper. This is a product out on the market by Cenobot. We've looked at as many of these as we could. It's kind of interesting that sweepers and vacuum cleaners were the second thing to the market. The first thing on the market were scrubbers, which I am still leery of. They're still not as good as I'd like to see them, but the sweepers and vacuums have absolutely performed fantastically. There are several of them that will be coming to market in the next few months to the next year. The majority of these products have been based on the current version, which is a seat or a chariot style with a driver's, with a steering wheel, and they've just added the electronics to it. Cenobot, unlike the others, did not go that route. They created an entirely self-contained product that doesn't have the steering wheel, it doesn't have this place for an operator to stand. It does have controls where it can be manually driven, but they are not what the machine was based on. This is a really wholly ground up design. This product can sweep and vacuum mindlessly for about 8 hours before it needs to take itself back to its docking station and recharge itself and empty itself and take care of everything it needs without any assistance. It simply needs to be told which program to run. We've based our study on the high school, although I can honestly say I'm not sure that that's where I want to put it. We may find a better placement for it, but it is perfect for the large, broad expanses of carpet that we own, where I can take a custodian and do something a lot less mindless than up and down a hallway with a wide area vacuum cleaner. If the Cenobot goes out for 6 hours and just vacuums, it's perfectly happy to take care of everything you need it to do. When I saw the demonstration, I saw how far they had come with the technology. They gave it a loop around an entryway at a school. It was 4 foot off the wall, just did a little loop, said that's your area, go clean it. It did the loop, and then the second time around, it was right up against the wall because it pictured, it's fully 360 LiDAR radar for all intents and purposes, enabled, so that it figured out this loop that they gave me is not actually what I need to do. I need to get up close to the wall, so it just saddled right up close to the wall and took care of business. It picks up everything you'd ever want it to, and really, it's the first of these machines that has truly impressed me. And everyone does know that it took me a long time to even adopt LED lighting. So it takes a bit of impressing to do to get me to adopt new technology. But I just see the opportunities where we can have custodians doing things that are requiring of a human brain, and a lot more involved and much more necessary than out there just vacuuming night after night. Return on investment based on a basic high school program is approximately 3 years, based on current usage. In other schools, such as Craft Meadows, that would be lowered probably to about 2 years. So like I said, I based it on the high school, but I'm not sure where we'd end up putting it, but we would like to consider getting one of these on order. I did put in an alternative product from Karcher. That is available from KSS, and you can see there's quite a bit of a significant price increase. And as you can see, that one that is based on a chariot. It's based on a human being standing on it, driving it, and they just put all the electronics into it, versus the Cenobot, which if you've looked at the link, the Cenobot is a much more compact, much more robot-looking thing. So it's really cool. And I know it's hard to get over somebody saying that the robot vacuum cleaner is really cool, but
How much ground does it cover in the time that before it needs to recharge, just out of curiosity, do you know?
thousands of square feet. It could do our entire first floor of the high school north before it would need to recharge.
Okay, I was
That's
just trying to get an idea, so.
between 6 and 8 hours, depending on what it has to go through to get there.
Okay,
One of the other things that's very important about the Cenobot versus a lot of the others is that the Cenobot, when you buy it, we buy it. They provide all the upgrades, all the updates to the software. We do not have any kind of subscription. All of the others on the market right now are subscription based. You pay a fee for the machine. So in the case of the Karcher, that's $59,000 plus $2,000 a year to get the software. And that's only good for 3 years. So I just feel that the Cenobot is they're really taking over the market. There are quite a few of them going into service in Holland. They have 6 currently running out there. They're buying more. The one I saw demonstrated was up at Grand Rapids Christian Elementary, and they'll be bringing a number of them on at their schools in the coming year. So.
Jason.
I have lots of questions, but first, the most important one is can we make it look like Rosie from the Jetsons?
I have asked, does it come in other colors? Can we get and they said, you can get a wrap for it if you'd like. We're not gonna do that for you. So, yeah, we're looking at different names and different paint schemes and all kinds of stuff, so.
Okay, so on the more
Just to have some
serious
fun.
side of things, so I've had some of the other, home models of robot vacuums and they just kind of mindlessly go. And if you happen to leave a cord laying around, it just kind of wraps itself up, tangles it and does all those things. So what kind of other safeguards or things for this unit? Sucking up things that kids might leave around or teachers leave plugged in.
Sucking up the teachers, we could, if one of them playing on the ground, we won't get it, no. It is so far different from a mindless Roomba, that it's not even heard of. The Cenobot, one of the upgrades they're working on right now, okay, they have it, we don't, is if you have a smart elevator, it will pull up to the elevator, scan a QR code, call the elevator, get on the elevator, get off the elevator, and vacuum the second floor for you. Your Roomba cannot do that. The radar that's involved, this has what's called I call it a hunter-seeker mode. You can just tell it, I want you to go do A, but it doesn't need a full vacuuming, I just want you to go look for stuff. Tell it to go look for stuff in room A. It will look on the floor for things that need to be swept up and vacuumed. It will find them. It doesn't run a regular pattern, it runs a randomized pattern with its radar fully active. If you step in front of it, quickly step in front of it, we tried this, it will immediately stop. It will immediately start talking to you and telling you, I'm stopping, you're in the way, can you move? Or, there's lots of different, variations upon that. It comes up on a doorway. If it can't sense an open door, it will call for help, just like your Roomba does, only a little more sophisticated. So they're pretty much nothing alike, which is good.
Is there any sort of a size limit to things that might detect on the floor that it should not pick up? I mean,
I don't know.
Like if somebody leaves a sneaker, is it gonna try and suck it up and get the shoelaces?
I'm pretty sure it couldn't. I know better. Yeah, I've seen it in action. I'm looking at the length off the floor. I'm sure it couldn't get a sneaker in, but I don't know if there's what kind of limitations on that. I'll find out. Or I'll go see one in action, throw a shoe in front of it and see what happens.
Any additional questions, Jason?
Good on that one.
You're good?
So is this gonna be run in the evening when the school's less full? Or is it something that can work around, you know, an athletic event or something like that, where if you're.
The answer to that question is yes, all of the above. It could easily be told to go sweep the gym in between. Now usually we scrub the floor in between, but if we have different events, we use a sweeper. This could be told to go sweep the gym. And while people are around, I'm a little more than a little leery of high school students, to be real. So we would try to concentrate its usage at night when they're not around.
And what is the life the performance length of life for this warranty?
I am drawing a blank on what the warranty is. I know it is healthy, and everything is kind of, even for them, it's a little bit on the cutting edge still, so they're not even totally sure what they're saying. Oh, it should last X. But there is a warranty on it, and I cannot remember what it is. So I will look that up and make sure that the information is included.
That's a big deal when it comes to return on investment. If
Yes.
it's only a 3-year life cycle, then we gotta buy another one.
Nope, I am sure that it is longer than that, but I just can't come up with a figure.
Thanks.
Any additional questions?
We will not be holding a naming competition. I'm public, sorry. Not Publix.
Fine, sweeper McSweep face.
Yeah, no.
Just something to think about too. I don't know the company well enough, but just in terms of battery life and battery drain. I mean, anyone that has a cell phone knows year 2 of the cell phone, the battery lasts not quite as long as it does that first year.
Yes,
The 8 hours that you get the first year, is that gonna be 6 hours in year 2 and 5 hours in year 3 or whatever?
we're being told no. We're being told that it does have a better charging system that allows it to just take better care of its battery life. And it does know when it approaches a certain percentage that, to come back and charge versus depleting itself. So there's a lot going on. I don't think we've spoken directly to the long longevity of the battery life. Again, there's a lot of wide opens there that nobody knows the answers to, so.
Are the batteries replaceable?
Everything on the machine is replaceable, yes.
Any additional questions? All right, we'll look for those answers to those few things to come. So thank you very much. All right, we're gonna move on to 10, which is board comments. Anything from board members?
Yeah, I'll say
Go ahead.
in seeing the community center, it's now something to get excited about. It's really cool. The pool is amazing, the track's amazing, some of the views from the inside are really spectacular, and I hope that everyone else feels as excited as I am about it. It's gonna be an icon to the community for sure.
That looks great, thank you. Anybody else? No? And to our staff that's here, thank you for all you do. We're looking forward to everybody being back in the building, students being back next week, and we know the summers are very short because everybody is hard at work getting things ready, so thank you to everyone. You have anything you'd like to add? No, you're good? All right, I just need a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
No, you're good. Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Have a good night, everyone.